Okay, well, I will go ahead now. We're going to get started and we are recording. And I would like to share with you our, here we go. Can everyone see that?
Yes. Yep.
Yes.
Great. All right. So welcome to our help desk, everybody. Today we are going to be talking about public speaking. Show of hands, who gets a little bit nervous when asked to stand up in front of a group of peers?
Everyone does, I think.
Everyone does, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm doing it right now as well, aren't I? So I am certainly putting today's methods into practice here. Okay, so we're all women who have the power to heal their communities. I'll just go through why we're here today. So we're providing support to our Country Kitchens branch facilitators. So welcome everybody. Thank you so much for coming along. And also feel free to ask any questions. There's a small group of us today. I'll have to make sure I get write down everyone's names. But if you've got any questions as we go through, raise your hands or interrupt me. That's completely fine. We can go from there. Okay, we've got our 5 key messages, which hopefully by this stage everybody is all over as well. Okay. But speaking and presentation skills, how to present like a pro. I recently went along to a workshop where I learned some of these skills. I have had to be standing up and speaking in front of people for a little while now as part of the job. But we're going to be talking about how to speak in public with confidence and the best way to frame your next presentation. So I will show you how these simple steps can be applied to any time we are asked to stand up and speak in front of a group of people. You will find that even I have used some of these tips today and framed our help desk around this formula. So when would a QCWA Country Kitchens facilitator need public speaking skills?
When you're doing a workshop.
Yeah, so we've got a few here. I'm going to say all the time. Okay, recipe promotions, showcases, workshops, foodie talk, back to basics. You know, it might be that you're going to speak with a councilman to form a partnership. Does anyone have any that they're not seeing on the screen here? Any other ways? That's okay. So presenting and speaking in front of a crowd is a very useful skill, and good news is that you can learn how to be an amazing and influential presenter. So whether it's in front of a group of children or a group of your peers, engaging a crowd can be a nerve-wracking experience. I would like to discuss some of the best practice today to make your next public speaking experience much easier. In today's help desk, we will look at how you can win over your audience through the power of presentation. Powerful and confident presenters have a presence that their audience cannot deny. Okay, so this is just a little overview of everything that we're going to go through in the first part of today's help desk. So tone and voice, a power stance, awareness, focus, practice, and improvisation. Okay, so when it comes to your voice, you must project your voice. If you speak too softly, only the people in the front row will be able to hear you. And if projecting your voice does not come naturally, then try practicing when you are in the car or the shower or gardening. Having a sing-along is another good way to try practice projecting your voice. I'm practicing projecting my voice at the moment. I'm in front of you ladies. I'm speaking into the microphone. I'm also in a room today full of other Country Kitchens staff who are listening in, students and all. So this is a really great way for me to practice. Change the beats in your sentence as well. Switch up your pauses and think of your presentation like a melody. The best person who does this, I don't know if everybody watches him, but Wally Lewis on Channel 9 News sings the sports report every single night. You listen to Wally, he likes to go up like this and speaks to us this way. So yes, have a little listen to Wally, or look him up on YouTube. He loves to sing the news. Try dropping your tone at the end of each sentence rather than going up. So this is a really hard one for Australians to do, because we like to go up at the end of our sentences. So when we're nervous and talking in front of a crowd, and we're trying to get a point across, if we go down at the end of our sentences, we're making more of a statement. But if we have a question to ask, we can go up at the end of the question. So does anyone have any, well, now I have to think of a question. Does anyone want to add anything to that? Is different to me making a statement. And then trying to eliminate all of our ums and our ahs. So this is a very hard one to get used to. I know for sure my dad, he speaks in public quite a bit. He loves to do his ums and his ahs, and he's getting prepared to do a speech at my wedding very soon. And I will tell you, it does concern me that he's going to lose everybody with all of his. And he loves a good pause. Anyway, so tone and voice, that's a good one to practice, whether you're in the car or the shower. Just projecting your voice is a good one. And a really good thing that I learned, I didn't know where this really fitted in, but no, it fits into the next one. So our stance, this is where I'll tell you, this is a good one that I learned. So when you're standing in front of a group of people, if you start on the left, when you're talking about something that's happening in the past, then you stand in the middle of the room if you're talking about current, and then you can stand to the right if you're talking about the future. So if you're giving a presentation to people and you wanted them to follow a timeline, you could move across the room, and it's kind of like a mental thing for them as well. Another one in your stance is holding onto your ring finger, because your ring finger leads directly up to your heart. And by holding onto that finger, you can help to decrease your heart rate if your heart is pumping because you're talking in front of people. So you can hold onto your ring finger. Apart from that, we encourage the power stance. So a power stance is with both feet parallel, your knees are nice and relaxed, your shoulders are back, and your hands are by the side of your body. This is called a neutral stance as well. And in yoga, it's also called the mountain pose. It's very powerful and calming at the same time. Whenever you catch yourself walking around or moving too much, go back to your neutral stance. And this should be your default and will always help you calm your nerves and collect your thoughts. I like to add in a big deep breath there as well. If you're standing in the nice neutral stance, hands down by your side, shoulders back and relaxed, big deep breath, it's always going to help you to calm your nerves. The next one for public speaking skills is awareness. So I always like to arrive early before a presentation so that I can set up with plenty of time to become familiar with my surroundings. It also helps you to increase your awareness of the whole room rather than just zooming in on one spot or person. Becoming familiar with your surroundings is also another good way to calm your nerves and help you to remember your content. It's easy to forget your content when you are tense and feel under pressure. If you remain present with the people in the room, your content will be easier to remember. Try to make eye contact with everyone in the room, not just the same one or two people. This will make everyone feel included and special. They will also be more engaged in what you are saying. Try to get people in the front and the back of the room. And if you feel you're losing someone, don't be afraid to ask them a question. I think we've lost, oh no, we've got everyone. Hello, Michelle. We finally got your video, but we can't hear you, so that's okay. That's all right. Well,
Can you hear me now?
I can, yes. Welcome.
Yes. Welcome to you too.
Thank you so much. Michelle, whereabouts are you from?
I'm from Quilpie, the Quilpie branch, Warrego division.
Great. All right. Thank you. And you've got a puppy in the background?
Pardon?
Do you have a puppy in the background?
No.
Oh, that might be somebody else. Oh, good. Okay, so we're talking about, so we're up to our third point in public speaking skills, and this is awareness. So we've arrived early to our room. We've gotten familiar with our surroundings and the people that are in the crowd. We're making eye contact at all levels, and how to expand our awareness. So when we start to lose track of where we're at, we can focus on a spot above eye level to continue focusing and become aware of the walls in your peripheral vision. So if you have eye contact, if you become aware of your peripheral vision and focus just above eye contact, you've now got, you're looking at the entire room. Whereas if you narrow in on one part, you might float off and forget where you're at. And so that's a good way to remain focused and aware. Actually, that's a good lead in, because the next one is number 4 is focus. So focus on what you want to achieve with your presentation. Look at the happy and engaging faces in the audience. It will help you to have a good time. And note that not everyone will always look at you. Auditory people don't need to see you to get your message. They just need to hear your voice. And our 5th point for public speaking is going to be practice. As the saying goes, practice does make perfect. Practice out loud in front of people, in front of your cat, your dog, the mirror, plant. The more you present, the better you will get. In the beginning, take every opportunity to speak at an event, no matter how small. Could be at a birthday party or getting up and thanking everybody for coming, getting everybody's attention, and just saying, a very short 30-second sentence. So anyone have any idea, any tips on how they like to practice before an event?
Anna, can I just ask, are these slides available somewhere?
I can make them available to you, yes. That's all coming in terms of the new, so we're recording today's help desk, and then that recording eventually will be put into a form of training model.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. But is that you, Donna?
Yes, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay. So definitely, if anyone would like a copy of today's slides, I can definitely send them through to you as well. But like you would at any sort of conference or anything that you would go to, and you would get the slides and you can make little notes beside, certainly that's something that is in the works and would love to have come through. All right, so the very final one is a bonus tip. This is utilization. When you're aware of your audience and surroundings, then you will be able to utilize what is going on in the room rather than ignoring it. The utilization is much like improvisation. So for example, if a phone is ringing, rather than awkwardly ignoring it, you could say something witty, like say hi to such and such for me, or looks like somebody else wants to hear about the honeybee today, as that person goes off. So also if someone walks in late, if it's appropriate, you could stop the presentation and welcome them as well and say hello. So that just is more of a bit of a bonus thing. So this is something that we can't plan for, but it's certainly something that we need to be aware of when presenting as well. Okay. So a little bit of a recap so far on what we've had a chat about. So now that you're aware and we are feeling confident in front of a group of people to get up and portray a clear message, let's have a look at how we're going to frame what we're going to say. Okay. So this is a recap. Okay, project your voice and use different tones. Relax and stand at ease. Don't lean or fidget, return to the mountain pose when feeling uneasy. So I'm sitting in a chair and I can feel myself. I'm fidgeting with my hands. I need to keep coming back, and I'm sliding down in my chair as well. Okay, so I need to come back and refocus. Given the first part of my presentation, I'm just recapping what I've said, and we're about to move on to the next part. So I need to focus back in, become aware of my topic and what I'm about to be speaking about as well. So we've spoken about the 6 points on how to master public speaking. So these are the things we can practice: projecting our voice, relaxing and standing in that mountain pose. Good tip is to arrive early and familiarize yourself with your surroundings. Make eye contact at all different levels of the room. Make sure you get the person at the back, the person in the front, people off to the sides. Practice, practice, practice. There was a saying that I was looking at, or some advice that was given to me the other day, and that is that nobody else knows what you're talking about yet. So by practicing and having a true understanding of the topic is going to make you look like the master, as opposed to getting up there and not knowing what you're talking about. If you leave something out of your presentation because you just brush over it and you forget, nobody else is going to notice that. Donna, would you like to say anything?
Yes, please. So what do you do?
Yes.
I have a problem when I'm speaking in front of people that I forget people's names. So if you've got a small group of people in front of you, 9 people in front of you, you would think that you would remember people's names, and I think it's important to acknowledge people by their name if it's such a small group. So do you have any tips on how you could remember those names?
Well, personally, straight to my mind is that when you're the person engaging everyone in the room, I don't think it's as important to be addressing them by name. But if you do some of these tips where you, become more aware and you relax and you breathe, it's going to be, that name might come back to you.
Right.
Do you find that you forget the names not just on a day-to-day basis, but is it because you're the one in front of them presenting?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just coming back. It's okay to take pauses as well in your presentation. So if you just take a pause, breathe, return to your neutral pose and become aware of the surroundings again, hopefully that name will come back to you. But also be aware of being aware when you're presenting, because then you can practice, okay, this time I'm going to be aware of being aware, and practice bringing back the names.
Okay, or otherwise I guess I could write some names down in front and have them in front of me so that that's a prompt.
Yeah, definitely. So if you were to arrive early as well, to get yourself familiar with the place that you're in, you would have time then to sort of write down where, on a piece of paper. If you're reading off a piece of paper, it's not encouraged, but that's okay to do as well. You could pop it on the piece of paper, like in a circle, who's sort of sitting there. Yeah. And that would be something that, by arriving early, that's one of the things that you could definitely do.
I guess that's why I make a point of wanting, at registration table, I guess, would be a perfect opportunity for me to actually greet people as they come in. So I'm connecting their face with the person's name. That's something that I use just sort of in everyday thing. I sort of try and, connect with them when they first come in.
Yeah.
And then I forget the name.
Yeah. If you also are in front of a group of
and name and cards, you can.
What's that?
People don't mind using a name tag on their body, or putting a card in front of their beam while they're at the desk. I mean, people don't mind if you put a
label, name label,
some sort on them or on their desk.
That's a good one, Wendy.
In big print. So
Yeah.
you can read it from a distance.
Yeah, that's a good one, Wendy. Especially if then people that you don't know, that you haven't met before, definitely do name tags. And then if you have somebody new to your group, like just one person, put a name tag on everybody, and that's a bit of an excuse, really.
Yeah.
For people that you've known previously, like we're all going to know this one new person. But yeah, that could be another way to help.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions around mastering public speaking? So now I'm going to apply this to one of the things that we might do as a Country Kitchens facilitator as well. So there is actually a formula that you can use when presenting on how to do your presentation, how to frame it, I guess. So you'll always know where you're at in the presentation if you use this framework as well. Even if you get lost, it will be much easier to find your way back in an instant. Better bring you over to there. So here's the formula. Okay, so just remember why, what, how, and what if. So as an example of today's presentation formula, I'm going to apply it to a recipe promotion. Now, what is a recipe promotion? We like to refer to it as a level 2 engagement. So this is a very minimum of what a branch facilitator could be doing. And so you've got the monthly munch, tabling the monthly munch, and then doing a recipe promotion as well. Now, it seems like such an easy thing to say, oh, make a recipe, bring it along, but you still have to present it in an engaging way to people. So an easy one for the recipe promotion is to bring along the one from the monthly munch to a branch meeting, okay? And what some facilitators like to do, branch facilitators do, is they start a roster so that each branch member gets a turn at making that recipe. So if you had a monthly or a weekly roster and only one person made the monthly munch recipe, somebody else could do it from the Country Kitchens Healthy Cookbook website or the recipe cards as well. Okay, so we're all over what a recipe promotion is. And has everybody done a recipe promotion in their branch before?
Yes, I have.
Yep.
We're just starting this year.
Sorry?
We're just starting this year.
You're starting this year? Oh, great. Okay, so yes, you've got your recipe. You might want to do are you doing a roster, Wendy, or is it all upon one person?
No, a roster.
A roster, great. And so what we can do is hopefully soon, I'm hoping to get some tips around public speaking and how to present as well, because it's so much more fun and engaging for people when somebody gets up there and they really know what they're talking about and they say, look at what I did and look how fantastic it is, and everyone can ask questions. And okay, so
I thought I just actually used to just make it.
yes.
And I just presented it as this is in the monthly munch, and you know, why don't you go home and try it yourself? But I never actually thought of a roster thing before.
Yeah, roster's a good one, Donna. And then that gets everybody interested, engaged as well. Yeah.
Okay.
That's a good one. Okay, so I have chosen the zucchini slice recipe that's come out in this month's monthly munch because it is my recipe. And what better than to present something that you know like the back of your hand, and that is how I know my zucchini slice recipe. Okay, so when you're presenting to everybody, you start with the why. What's in it for them and what's in it for you as a presenter as well. So the purpose of a recipe promotion is to encourage members of your branch to eat more fruit and vegetables and to cook at home. Always begin with a purpose. This section is to engage your audience. Get their attention and get them excited for what is coming next. The more why benefits you give them, the more engaged they're going to be. So I would start keep it really simple as well. So you could just do a really simple statistic, which you can find on our website as well. Nobody needs to, by any means, go looking for a statistic. Just ask any of us at the Country Kitchens website, at the Country Kitchens office, or jump on the website and have a little look. We've written it everywhere. So you could ask people, do they know what a serving of vegetables is? And then say, well, only 5% of the Australian adult population is eating a sufficient amount of fruit and vegetable every day. Whoa, shocking. And get them engaged in that way. And so they want to hear more, like, well, what are we going to do about it? So that's where we come into the what. In the what, we're just going to, you explain the exact definition of what you are presenting on, and just de-jargon any of the industry-specific words. Okay, so you could just ask, does everyone know what zucchini slice is? Because we shouldn't, like, you don't want to assume that everyone does. And then you say the best way to describe zucchini slice is a quiche without a crust. And then we're all over what exactly it is. So we've broken it down. The third stage is where you spend most of your time and teach people something valuable. It's always a great idea to break down your how into steps, include a demonstration if necessary, and set up an exercise if needed. So for this one, I would get up there and say, so the zucchini slice that I've made today is made to serve 8 people. So you get 8 serves. It took me 50 minutes to an hour to cook. I included some zucchini, carrot, onion, and tomato. That gives us 1.5 serves per portion of fruit, of vegetables. I included some rashers of bacon, and I trimmed off that fat so that it was a reduced fat option. I used 5 eggs. I used some pepper, but no salt. I didn't need any salt because I've used bacon in this recipe. I used a cup of wholemeal self-raising flour, and I didn't find a need to put any baking powder in there to give it any extra rise than that. And I used the wholemeal flour for a little bit of added fiber too, so extra fiber. I've used extra virgin olive oil because it's one of those healthy fats. And I used some grated cheese, which was reduced fat. And then I mixed all of that together. I used baking paper inside of my tray to reduce the amount of oil that I used as well. I poured the ingredients into my tray. I baked that for around 40 minutes in 180 degrees Celsius oven. My oven's really good, so if your oven might be a little bit slow, you might need to go for a little bit longer. So you could just check on your zucchini slice, and once the top is golden and it's cooked all the way through, you can pull it out. So that was the bulk of what I did, and hopefully some people have learned something there. You can keep them engaged by asking questions in this stage as well. So if you saw somebody trailing off, this is where you could ask, so we've got 1.5 serves per portion of zucchini slice. Does anyone know what a serving of vegetables is, or a serving of fruit is? And that's where you could pull out your flip cards or something like that as well. Okay, now is the next step. So you would open it up to everybody. They might have a question. They might want to share some of their ideas. They might want to say, hey, why did you put carrot inside the zucchini slice? Well, that was to increase the fruit and vegetables consumption. Just as simple as that. And that is the best way for us to frame something as simple as a recipe promotion. So we could come back to this, this model. So let me have a look. Take you all the way back to here. So we can come back to this model of why, what, how, and what if with any sort of presentation that we're giving or that you're asked to give. It's just very simple, and you could write it down on less than an A4 sheet of paper about what you're going to speak about today. And then whilst you're up there in front of everybody, and you feel that you might be getting a little bit distracted, you can go, which part am I up to? I'm in the how part. This is the bulk of my content. So this is where I can just talk. I've let them know why I'm here and the reasons. I've engaged them. I've broken down some definitions for them. And then I'm going to give them the bulk of my content. Then I'm going to open it up to where do we go from here? And if there's no questions and it's come to an end, I would just say, and I served it with a side salad. And that would be it. Have I lost you there, Michelle? How engaging was my presentation? And yeah, so do we have any questions?
Just wondering, if we've got gluten-free members, what's your standard rule for replacing, wheat flour? Which flour would you recommend and what proportion?
Yeah, well, you could definitely play around with some different types of flours. You don't want to make rock cakes. So there are some really good gluten-free flour combinations around at, if you just go to the supermarket and have a look at the gluten-free flours, read your ingredients list. Generally, those gluten-free flours are going to be a bit of a mix of different types of flours that you can get on the market. Might be like tapioca, ground chickpeas, bit of oats, and they mill it all up themselves. Then you can start to get very standard stuff. So you could go for something like an almond meal or corn flour, or coconut flour. Now, coconut flour is a really dry ingredient, and then almond meal is a very dense ingredient. So it's going to make it very wet as well. So say it called for 1 cup of plain white flour, then I would look to do a little bit of a combination. If you didn't have one of those fantastic gluten-free flours that has a pretty even mix, then you could play around with doing a half-half kind of mix as well. And also you'd want to put in a little bit of gluten-free baking powder just to help give it a bit of a rise and to help it along.
Thank you.
That's okay. And then Judy, in your recipe promotion, so say you prepared a recipe, that's something that you could talk about in your how section, is that today I've used this gluten-free flour. This is how I used it. This is why I used it. And then people could try it and say, what do you think? And they go, oh, next time I might use only 3/4 a cup of the chickpea flour and 1/4 cup of almond meal because a half-half was too much.
Great. Thank you.
No, you're welcome. And when we're starting to substitute things like that as well, it does all come down to the recipe, and we're all having a go at trying to get that even perfect balance. Yeah. Any other questions?
Yes, we have a number of members with dietary issues. We also have vegans.
Okay.
You substitute your bacon and your eggs. What do you suggest?
Okay. Well, it does start to get a little bit tricky when somebody does choose to be vegan. Now, if you're substituting meat, like a bacon that's quite salty, some of those fake meats that you can get out, or when I say fake meats, I don't substitute meats that have been processed, they can be quite high in sodium. So it's always best to go for things like a tempeh or a what was that? I'm thinking soy. It's the tofu as well, and all of our lentils and beans and our chickpeas and things like that as well. So in a recipe like the zucchini slice, you wouldn't quite get the correct consistency, because eggs is such a large portion of that. And there are ways in baking that you can substitute eggs. So you can get, you can do like little mixes of linseed or chia seeds as well. They make like a glutinous mixture. And then you can use applesauce as well as a binding agent, which is a good one. And when it comes to, I normally go for the applesauce because I find it the easiest. And I do buy the one at Woolies in the baby food section that says 100% apple puree. They've added nothing else in there. So that makes it a little bit easier for the baking. But for something like the zucchini slice, yeah, off the top of my head, I think we'd just have to give that one a bit of a miss.
And what about onions? That you'd would that, you know, if you sort of in olive oil, would that do it? Like an
so
onion?
it would depend on why the person, if they had like an allergy to the onions and where it was coming from. But onion is one of those ones that triggers. It's like an IBS trigger.
Okay.
Yeah. So sometimes when people don't like or say, you know, no onion, they've got an allergy to onion, that can be why. But you can try using a infused olive oil as well. But if you're taking away like onion itself, if you took that away, like try bringing in some herbs and spices. And don't be afraid to use the stalks on your herbs as well. They're like a woody, they're a woody herb, and so they're going to withstand heat for a longer period of time, like our onion does. Okay, so you could fry it off like a bit of onion for that extra bit of pungency. Donna, you raised your hand.
Yeah, I was going to say, what about the egg replacer? If you use that packet egg replacer and mix that in, and then just do like in the patty tins.
Yes, there are products on the market that say, you know, egg replacement and things like that for vegans. Personally, I haven't had looked into it further enough and looked at the ingredients list and how they're actually the constitutes of that to make a bit of a decision. But I can certainly look at it for you. So for yourself, Judy,
we've used egg replacer quite a lot with mix, you know, like your pie crust or your coconut macaroons. Even they worked okay as well.
And so Donna, where did that?
It's from Coles. It's a red packet in the gluten-free section, but it's called egg replacer, and so that's what I use for vegans.
I'm writing all of this down.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, with a zucchini slice, you have got that sort of, you know, it's the egg that actually bulks it up. So what we did is just put the extra vegetable. But I'm pretty sure we've used it as a zucchini slice, and we just put the extra vegetable in, and we've used cupcake tray instead. So it's more like a
patty
type.
Yeah, like a patty pan for it.
Yeah.
Nice. Oh, very good. Yes, all of these questions are good because if I don't know the answers, we can pop it out there as well for you. Any other questions around anything on presenting? Does anyone have a presentation coming up in their branch?
How long should you really take to present something, like 15, 20 minutes, half an hour? Or have you mentioned that?
No, that's a good question, Michelle. That's a really good question. I'm glad you asked because nobody ever complains about a speech that was too short.
No, I know.
And so there is no right or wrong answer to that one. It all depends on the topic, how much time has been allocated to you as well. So Yes, if you were given, so for instance, we've got our regional conferences coming up, and Country Kitchens is given different time frames. I know I've been given at Northern Regional Conference an hour, and that's in 2 30-minute frames. So I'll definitely time what I have to say and try and keep it as engaging as possible. But that certainly would be different to, say, a foodie talk. Or a recipe promotion, or if you're just tabling the monthly munch, instead of saying, oh, here it is and I'll pop it here and have a read if you want to, we want to raise that awareness of Country Kitchens. And so if we can get like 5 minutes or so and say, and give people a why, so benefit to it. Hey guys, there's a really great article in the Monthly Munch this month. I think you should all have a read. Does everyone know what the Monthly Munch is? And they might go, yes. You go, great. Well, I went onto the website. I registered. They send it to me every month. It's got this really great recipe in the back here as well. They're talking about here, oh, look, it features Valerie in it this month. Valerie did some baking in it. They did a bake sale out the front of Bunnings and they got a mention and they got their photo in there, and it's really great. I'm just going to leave it here. Does anyone want to read it?
Yeah.
Someone might grab it straight away. And I've just gone, why, what, how, what if, really quickly. And hopefully I've made 1 or 2 people read the Monthly Munch more than they would have if I had just left it on the table.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Thank you.
Yeah.
But
Donna?
I'm not going outside of Bunnings.
Sorry, Valerie, I picked on you. I improvised and I picked on you.
I have to go to Dolby to get the closest Bunnings. It's a little bit far away.
Yeah. and that was up in Townsville, where they've probably got a dozen or so. But yeah, the local tradesman or whatever.
Local hardware store.
Local hardware store, yes, that's where you should go.
I just learned a lot from that, and I think because that's exactly what I do. I mean, first of all, we didn't really even have any time set aside for Country Kitchens.
Yeah.
And now we've got it on the agenda now, and we've even now, because I've brought the recipe in for people to try, because we weren't even having a morning tea or anything, a cup of coffee or anything, and now that's starting. We're going to start that. So by having the presentation formula, it actually is encouraging me as the facilitator to educate the branch members, and to me that's the whole purpose, to start with the branch and then move into your community from that. So I would love a copy of that presentation formula to follow, because I thought just exactly what you did with that slides is exactly what I think it's worth doing. We should be doing that.
Yeah. Just excuse me for one moment, please, ladies. Just one sec. Hello, how are you going? That's us, yes. I'm just on a live meeting at the moment. So, do you have a delivery or? Oh, yes, certainly. Okay. Do you mind just having a seat? I will just be 5 more minutes. Is that okay? Thank you. Great. Okay. Hello, I'm back. Sorry, I have been joined by a visitor in the room, looking to donations from Men's Shed. So,
wow, lovely.
Yeah, yes, very good. So he can have a little listen in on about what we do here for a little while. But thank you so much for sharing, Donna. That was that's really nice and insightful. So it's almost like we're going, back to basics. And how we can apply it really to anything, because we want it to be engaging, and we want people to look forward to listening to what we have to say. And it's not easy getting up in front of people, no matter the situation. You could be getting up in front of children at a school or whatever it may be. So, yeah.
So if we were wanting the planning for the presentation sent through, will you just email that if we want it, or how do we go about that?
Yes, Michelle, I will definitely do. Just writing it down. I will make sure everybody gets a copy of today's slides, first and foremost.
Okay.
So thank you all for coming along, because it was a new presentation today that I created myself. But as I said, I did do a workshop last week, and although I have been presenting in front of people as part of my career for a little while now, it's always good for a refresher. And also sometimes the material is just given to me, and then I'm speaking on behalf of somebody as well. But yeah, it is a really good way just to think about, and yeah, to come back to what you're saying the whole time.
Yeah, thank you.
Great. So I'll make sure. So we've got Valerie, I've got Wendy, got Judy. Judy, what is your surname?
Denham, D-E-N-H-A-M. Coolangatta.
Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Fantastic. All right. Well, if we don't have any more questions, I'm going to finish up here for today. So that's a little bit of an early mark, but as I said before, yeah, nobody ever complains about a short speech, but you also keep people around longer too if it's engaging. So, yes.
Right. Thank you, Anna. I'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you,
Yes,
Anna.
I'll see you then. Thank you, Donna. Looking forward to it.